you are going to get burned out because you are not scheduled. Okay? It's really counterintuitive. Dude, wake up. It's okay to fail. Get back on the horse. Because if you don't, someone else is going to take your horse and you're going to be fucked. When it comes down to getting up after a weekend of a bender, of a loss in the family, of having to go and travel and get back to work and figure out what the hell is going on with your company or with your friend group, whatever it is, you got to just realize it's okay to not have it perfect. It's okay to have the get back process not be this completely structured routine. The most important thing is to get back to work, is to literally just be like, dude, I have X amount of hours, boom. The most anxiety driven thing that I can think of, I'm going to get done first. Guess what you're going to feel after you do that? You're going to feel better about yourself. And that's really what we're looking for. When it comes down to life, you know this. Everyone ever watching these videos knows this. There has been times where you've been incredibly productive. More times than not, that doesn't carry through for months and months on end, right? There are times there's a dip of productivity. There is a dip of consciousness, awareness of life, right? And it's our responsibility to just be like, when we feel that dip, to give ourselves the benefit of doing the hardest, most useful thing we can to move us into that acceleration back to where we need to be or back to where we feel good about ourselves. So I'll give you an example is I've been traveling for about a week and a half now to conferences. And in my head, I'm leaving my dental practice. I'm leaving all my staff behind. I'm leaving these guys behind. They're like, what the fuck, bro? And I'm out there trying to connect with human beings that will be useful for making the opportunities for everyone in my staff and everyone around me more abundant, right? That if one of my videographers moves to wherever the fuck, I'll be like, dude, I know people there, right? Or if one of my staff members needs to learn about day trading or about stocks or whatever, I can be like, here, hit this person up. If you schmooze them enough, maybe they'll give you some of your time. But what that means is that the meetings, right? The regular stuff that I was doing, the checkups to make sure that I'm being professionally annoying, that hasn't been happening for a week and a half. The little things that I said I would get done, the important things that I would say get done, those get pushed back, and I have to constantly communicate and be like, listen, I know this needs to be done right now. Give me a week, right? Give me some time. What that means is I'm still tired as shit. I had a red eye, it's Monday. What that means is today I pedal to the metal, right? I gotta do the hardest stuff. I gotta come in here with the boys and record the videos, right? I gotta go back home and I gotta make sure that all of the things that are anxiety inducing things that I know are the highest priority, those get done. Those get done right then and there because I am responsible for those things to get done. And on a selfish sense, right? If I don't get them done, I'm gonna feel like a piece of shit. And if I let that carry forward, I'm gonna feel like a piece of shit tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, and that's gonna capitulate into my relationships. It's gonna capitulate into how I communicate with my staff and the people that I enjoy spending time with, right? That's gonna capitulate into the way that they feel about me, and then it's this constant cycle. So my biggest advice for when life gets hard and we experience those dips, which are inevitable, and I'll actually go into something very important right after this. It's very, very important to go back and make the very greatest effort on the things that are the highest yield, anxiety inducing things. Get those out of the way, and that will drastically mitigate that dip that you felt. The thing that I wanted to say is there's a graph. I think Patrick Bet-David showed this graph in one of his videos, is a productivity graph, like the average, people that are above average and people that are just geniuses on like a whole other plane, like Musk and Trump and all these other guys. What happens with us is that we have a certain amount of hours of work that we use productively. And those that are average have more dips in their graph, right? So they'll be like, okay, I'm going to work for 8 hours, but the level of production that I do is a lot lower on those 8 hours, right? As we move higher and higher up the ranks, all of those hours are more productive. Our dip in performance over a course of a week, over a course of a month, decreases because overall our average is higher. Now, the goal, ideally, if you're watching a video like this, is to make it so that our lowest productivity is higher than most people's average productivity. right? If we can do that every day or for like most of the time, we're going to get to a state where we actually do make a difference and feel good about ourselves. So the burnout thing is also an interesting thing to realize. And a lot of people are like, dude, I don't have a schedule in my life because I don't want to get burned out. And the funniest part about that is you are going to get burned out because you are not scheduled. Okay. It's really counterintuitive. There's actually something that I picked up from Atomic Habits, but super important to realize is if you have everything scheduled out, if you know when you're going to work, if you know when you want to go and hang out with your girlfriend, if you know when you want to go and play music, or get stoned and do whatever the fuck you want to do, right? If you have all those things scheduled out, the chances that you're going to miss that time are way lower, right? And the chances of you dropping the ball on a responsibility are also way lower. So you not only feel really good about yourself and make sure that you're carrying that weight, but you also give yourself some time to be like, yeah, I scheduled this time specifically to avoid feeling burnt out, to actually give me a level of sustainability. Use a Google Calendar, right? Figure out your work schedule. Figure out what the optimal day of the week and time of the week it is for you to just go and do the thing that you want to do. If you want to go on a walk in the woods, like you might have to sacrifice something to wake up a little bit earlier on a Saturday and go do that, right? If you want to go and paint something and you want to go pick up some supplies and stuff, or groceries if you live alone. I mean, I tell this advice to my staff all the time. Set a day to do chores. What's this nonsense that I just randomly figure out when to do chores? Like, get organized. Like be like, okay, Sundays, this is my day that I get all my chores done. And guess what? For the rest of the week, you don't have to worry about chores, right? But that's the level of discipline that's kind of required to be like, okay, am I allowing myself to love myself, and am I forcing myself to be a useful, productive member of society to the point where I respect myself, right? That's where scheduling comes in. Very, very important. It's been something I've been implementing more. I actually had a conversation with my mom because I work with my mom, and she was like, dude, I don't even feel like your mom sometimes, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like your son sometimes. Like, it sucks, and I want to feel that. I want to feel that level of connection. And for a long time, I was like, let's schedule a time during the week that we hang out. And I scheduled a couple times, and, on the time scheduled, she was unscheduled. So she said, okay, I'm going to go and hang out with my nephew. And I'm like, well, now I feel unloved, like I set out this time and we're not hanging out. And she's like, you'll get over it, and then a month goes by, and that compounds and that compounds and that compounds. And then we get to a point where she's like, I don't feel like your mom anymore. I'm like, well, shit, maybe you should have listened to what I was saying about 2 months ago, when we could have solved this problem. And finally she understood why I was like, dude, we need to schedule time to hang out. Like, I'm too busy to just randomly be like, oh, I can let go of these 6 meetings because we want to spend time and have dinner together. So like, okay, every Monday after work, just come chill, right? No plans other than hanging out with each other. How incredible is that, right? You feel loved and cared. You have the time, but you also know that there's no meetings that are ever going to come in that way, right? You know that time is scheduled. So to avoid burnout, schedule your shit. If you're not scheduled, you're going to burn out all the time because you're never going to have the amount of time that you need to feel that love, that self-love. Use a Google Calendar. Like, hell, if you're watching this video, that's a good idea. Pause this shit and go do that. It makes a big difference. If you end up burning out, that's a setback, right? So the setback of a burnout, I haven't really experienced this, but the people that I talk to, like the high level CEOs that have like 100x, the growth of a company and done some crazy shit and are also cool human beings, they say that sometimes, dude, you just need to drop all your shit and spend some time with yourself. Again, scheduled time with yourself. Bill Gates, every 6 months, he spends, I think, a week or two by himself altogether, right? Bill Gates does that. There's probably a reason, you know what I mean? Like, Musk probably has that. Trump probably has that. Like, all these people that we hear about in the news, like, that are just on another level, right? They have these things in their life. You need to have that. If you don't, the setbacks will just compound, and you'll stay there, right? So like your level of productivity, because your passion for your career or your passion for your relationship or whatever is just so low that you just maintain at that low, and you're thinking that, oh yes, because I'm maintaining, I'm good. But the reality is, if you just gave yourself a week off, then you can be back over here and you'll feel extra good, right? That's just knowledge of self. That's emotional intelligence. If you want more of that stuff in your feed, subscribe. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. You take care of yourself. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any responses to things that I said, let me know. And how are the videographers doing? How are the editors doing? You know, how am I doing? Let me know. Always curious. And if you want to work together, or if you want to build some cool stuff, or if you want to just get some ideas off of someone that's also thinking about entrepreneurial stuff, hit me up. Take care. Deuces.